back to the channel. This is MTG Ghoul Dude, and today I wanted to show y'all, I wanted to do a deck tech on my Gisa, my Ghoulcaller Gisa deck, but I just couldn't do it. I couldn't go without putting her in an MTG Ghoul Dude sleeve. So, let's get into Ghoulcaller Gisa. So, we're going to start out with ramp first, starting out with Wayfarer's Bauble, Expedition Map. Oh, I can get it in there. Mana Vault, because she is 5 mana, so we do have to kind of ramp a little fast to get her to where we need to go. Bubbling Muck, Dark Ritual, Felwar Stone, Liquid Metal Torque, Charcoal Diamond, Mind Stone, Thought Vessel, Cabal Ritual. Crowded Crypt has become one of my new favorites when it comes to the 3 mana rocks that have abilities, because if you're low on a board state, guess what? You crack this, make a bunch of dudes, and then you got an instant board, and they don't enter tapped. So that's actually a very important thing. They can't block, but they don't enter tap, so just about as good to me as anything. Heraldic Banner to buff our power, because she does care about the power of the creature. Commander's Fear. Relic of Legends is also one of those ones that I feel like flies under the radar a little bit. Basalt Monolith. Bantu's Monument. I consider cost reduction as ramp to me, and plus this is also one of the other effects that we have in the deck that does a life gain and life loss for what we're doing already. And then we have a Nyx Lotus. Now we have a few other artifacts in the deck, and some that'll make people mad because they're of what they are and their potential in this deck. But they are Ashnod's Altar, Phyrexian Altar, Nim Death's Mantle, and this one won't draw any hate because it's just Wand of Orcus. It's just good equipment. And yeah, this did used to be my Tormod the Desecrator high power deck, but I ended up floating some of my more impressive cards over to Wilhelt, and now Wilhelt is my more impressive deck. It is one of the ones that I've been taking to game shops for tournaments. And this past tournament, ooh, I just got lucked out. I used my removal at the wrong time, and it's just getting reps in with the deck that probably would help a little bit more. But continuing on with this deck, we're going to go on with our creatures. Starting out with Crypt Breaker. This cool looking Diregraph Ghoul. I got these a while back off of Card Kingdom. They were cheap. I didn't have the promo, so these were one of the first zombie promos that I ever got. Foulmire Knight, which does help with the little card draw, and I can't have a mono black zombie deck without a Gravecrawler. Shambling Ghast actually also has combo potential, if you didn't know, with one of the Planeswalker in the deck that we have. Undead Augur for card draw on death, and then we get into our lords, starting off with this gorgeous convention promo Death Baron. I couldn't live without it, and I also have a Lord of the Accursed. I have the Jumpstart anime one that I really wanted to put in the deck just because. And Cemetery Reaper. This actually helps in the long run if you're running low on actual creatures. And it's from a graveyard, so you can exile somebody else's creatures. Lord of the Undead helps us bring our own zombies back. Murderous Rider for removal and lifelink. Headless Rider, because when a zombie dies you still want to have a zombie, so it makes one for you if it's a non-token. Midnight Reaper, if it's a non-token, then it dies, you draw a card. Arc Ghoul of Thraben, whenever a zombie you control dies, look at the top card. It's basically Surveil. pretty much. But you get to put it in your hand if it's a zombie. So it's almost like a Herald's Horn in a way. Plague Belcher, when a zombie dies, each opponent loses a life. Diagraph Colossus enters the battlefield for a +1/+1 counter on it for each in your graveyard, and you get a zombie when you cast a zombie. Buy one, get one. The best buy one, get one I've ever heard. Undead Warchief is a reducer and a lord, and it buffs itself. If you didn't know that, it does. So this is on the battlefield a 3/2, and everything else just gets +1, +2, +1. Vengeful Dead, whenever a zombie or it dies, each opponent loses a life. Oh, there's a lot of history with this one. This is Sidisi Undead Vizier. This was the first commander in the deck. It actually has a lot of sentimental value to me. I actually have the other one that I used to swap it out for lower power decks. I have a Russian foil Josu Vest. I can actually pull it out for you guys real quick, because I had this shipped and I paid for it in rupees, and I couldn't get enough of it. This is a gorgeous pre-release foil, and I got it because I used to swap Sidisi with Josu for lower power games. But Sidisi Undead Vizier for 3 and 2 black. It's a 4/6 with Death Touch and exploit. And when you exploit, you sacrifice a creature, and when you do exploit, it allows you to tutor. There's no infinite loops with her where you can tutor her in, sack her, bring her back. I mean, if you're running infinite mana, you probably could, but at that point, you should have a win con by then. Then we have 2-3 enchantments in the deck that deal with life and death of creatures, or with making creatures, starting out with Bastion of Remembrance. It is if a creature an opponent controls, if you control will die, each opponent loses a life, you gain a life. And it's each opponent, so that does help a lot. Then we have some token makers with Liliana's Mastery. When it enters, you make 2 3/3s. That's pretty good for 5 mana. And you can't have a mono black zombie deck without Army of the Damned. The only planeswalker in the deck is Liliana Untouched by Death, because she does have that -3 ability that does allow you to cast zombie cards from your graveyard this turn. And that could be any zombie. So say you make a you play her, -3 her, and you have plenty of mana, you sacrifice or you play your Shambling Gas from the graveyard, you sacrifice it to your Phyrexian Altar. Oh, guess what? Now you have a black mana and a treasure, because you might want to choose to make a treasure. Or you could just go that one route and be like, hey, I'm going to give everything -1 to -1. Just wipe your opponent's boards that turn. That's also a very good strategy if you're not running a Noxious Ghoul, which Noxious Ghoul is pretty good for that effect too, but it's a whole lot easier to do. Then we're going into our card advantage and card draw, starting off with Night's Whisper. Just good old Night's Whisper. I'm really high on this Ransack the Lab because it's 3 deep and 1 into your hand. Doesn't matter, doesn't have to be anything particular, doesn't have to be artifact, creature, instant, sorcery. You can throw a tutor into your hand and be like, yep, I'm ready to go. Sign in Blood. Good old want to kill somebody for 2. Agadeem's Awakening. And that is card advantage in a way where you can have access to your graveyard. Blood Pact. It's all the basic like pilfer effects and loot effects in black, with a little bit of tutoring with Grim Tutor, Praetor's Graphs to search your opponent's library. That's an effect. You may not be able to get it, but they can't have it. Succumb to Temptation, Deadly Plot. I love that card. Final Parting for 1 for your hand, 1 for your graveyard, and Beseech the Queen. Now we run into our removal, starting out with the free Slaughter Pact, but you gotta pay for it later. Feed the Swarm as our only enchantment removal, targeted removal. Go for the Throat, Infernal Grasp. Force of Despair is a card that I've put in the deck, and I don't know if it sticks because it could destroy all the tokens. It could destroy, things you can't target because it just destroys all creatures that enter the battlefield this turn. And you can just exile a card, exile a black card to do it if it's not your turn. So I'm still waiting to see if this pays off. Toxic Deluge. Baleful Mastery, I've seen this played a good bit of times, and it's not bad. A card draw for, exile a creature or planeswalker, that's pretty good. And good old Damnation. Now we get into our non-basics, which we have quite a few. I'm assuming all you guys know what is in this. Takanuma, Unholy Grotto to get some of those zombies back. Phyrexian Tower to sacrifice some of those zombies to get a little bit more mana. Emergent Zone, just in case you want to play on somebody else's turn. Field of Ruin for land removal. Bojuka Bog for graveyard removal. Temple of the False God to bump your mana up, along with Crystal Vein. If you sack it, you add 2. I love Crystal Vein. I love the art. I love the card. I love the effect. I especially love that Graveborn style. The Graveborn print of Crystal Vein because it's beautiful. Mirrored Landscape to get more lands. And you can't have a black deck without an Urborg and a Cabal Coffers. I am sticking with the foil swamps that I use for Tormod. I really wanted to get the stained glass ones because, well, Tormod was from Dominaria, but because we are using Gisa was from Innistrad, so I can keep these Innistrad foils in this deck, and I went through a lot of trouble to get these, and I'm so glad that I can keep playing with them because they are just gorgeous. I love the border right there. You can see how it changes. Oh, just beautiful. But that's going to be it for today, guys. If you have any suggestions for this deck, any card suggestions, you have any decks that I could possibly build with, some of the decks that some of the cards I already have, I will look into it, or I could, just compile a deck list for you guys. But that's going to be it for today. I appreciate all my subscribers, everybody that likes and comments on the videos, people that share. If you got a friend that plays zombies, hey, send them my way. It never hurts. But I will see all you guys next time in the graveyard.